Final Fantasy XVI is coming to the PC. Zotac launches their gaming handheld, and AMD does the right thing. Well done. Let's get in the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. We're going to start off today talking with the big announcement that I've been waiting for out of Gamescom, which is that Final Fantasy XVI is indeed making its way on over to PC. We've kind of known that this was coming, especially since NVIDIA has already released game-ready drivers for it, but now it's been announced that September 17th is the release date for this game, and we have the minimum and recommended specs. Minimum, you're going down to a Ryzen 5 first gen or Core i5 8400, 16 gigs of RAM, of RX 5700 or 1070, and then the recommended specs, you're going up to a Ryzen 7 5700X, i7 10700, and then the GPU, you're looking at a 6700 XT or a 2080. Both of these will require 170 gigabytes, but also recommended specs is looking for 1080 60 FPS, which is all right, it's modest. This is a game that came out for PS5, so it does make sense that those spec requirements are getting a little higher. The price of the game is going to be $50 on Steam for the base, and in case you want the complete edition, which includes the 2 additional DLCs, it's going to set you back $70, which is cheaper than what you could have gotten it for when it launched on console just a little while ago. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It's one of the very few games I've platinumed over on PlayStation. There's a demo available right now, and if it's the same demo that was available when I played it on PlayStation, my goodness, does that thing get you hooked. Like, the ending of the demo is just so, it's a masterclass in how to do a demo properly to get people hooked into your game. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to play it again on PC. I just hope that the port is a lot better than Final Fantasy 15, because that was a nightmare. Final Fantasy 7 Remake was a little bit better, especially at launch, but 15 was awful and still continues to have major issues. But September 17th is coming quick. We also have God of War Ragnarok hitting PC in September at some point as well. Excited for that. And you should also be excited about today's video sponsor. Currently, AliExpress is running their back to school sale until August 25th. You can save up to 80% with an additional discount applied from our codes in the description. You can take advantage of AliExpress's free shipping for new users and free returns on orders. Get better choices at better prices. Consider picking up one of the handheld gaming consoles AliExpress sent over for us, just in time for me to not have them on my vacation. Any one of the 3 that we have back at our studio can easily fit into a bag or a backpack for playing on the go, and I'm a little upset that the guys back at the office are the ones playing with them, because first up we have the TriMu Smart Pro handheld game console, available in retro gray, black, and white. The TriMu is a sleek and comfortable portable system, featuring a 4.96-inch IPS screen and powered by Linux. This handheld delivers a smooth 720p gaming experience. You can extend your play sessions with its 5,000 milliamp hour battery and simple USB-C charging. Next, we have the Anbernic RG35XX handheld game console. This super portable console features a 3.5-inch IPS display, a 3,300 milliamp hour battery, and even a mini HDMI port for external monitor support. And you can feel free to connect external peripherals to create a mini mobile gaming experience. And lastly, we have the Miu Mini Plus portable retro handheld game console. This super retro feeling console also features a 3.5-inch IPS screen and a 3,000 milliamp hour polymer lithium ion battery, being powered by an ARM Cortex A7 processor, which allows the Miu Mini Plus to deliver smooth gameplay while remaining energy efficient, resulting in up to 5 hours of battery life. If you're looking to pick up a gaming handheld perfect for the back to school season, then consider grabbing one of these consoles from AliExpress. Remember, their back to school sale offering up to 80% off is currently active from August 19th to the 25th. Make sure to use one of UFD Tech's exclusive codes to gain a further discount on your order. All codes and links can be found in the description below. Big thanks to AliExpress for sponsoring today's video. Well, here's another handheld that you probably can't buy on AliExpress right now, and that is the Zotac Zone handheld that's officially launching at Gamescom as of yesterday. This thing got debuted at Computex. I got to put my hands on it. I thoroughly love the feel of it, if I recall correctly, and it has a few little updates and tweaks versus other Windows handhelds that make it a compelling offer, but at $799, it's a little tricky. It does have Hall of FX sensors. It has an AMOLED screen, which is a very big deal. There's really no other competitor in the market right now that's competing with Steam Deck in terms of having that OLED screen. Has RGB on the back, buddy, in case you want that, and it has adjustable triggers for the rear. The screen's 800 nits brightness, which is actually very close to what you can get on the Steam Deck OLED. It's 120 hertz, which is going to be plenty fast. The only real issue that I'm kind of seeing with this is that it is on the Ryzen 7 8840U, which is technically the exact same as the Z1 Extreme, except for it has the NPU baked in, so you can do more AI tasks. But especially after being able to test some laptops with the AI9 365, which has the Radeon 880M GPU, the 780M isn't good enough for gaming handhelds anymore now that I've seen what is possible in the Strix Points laptops. I added extra S's there, I apologize for that. So there's a lot of compelling things about the Zotac Zone handheld. The switches, the triggers, the screens, it has touchpads as well to compete with the Steam Deck in case that's your thing. The real way it falls flat versus the RG Ally X is the fact that it has half the amount of storage coming in at only 512 gigabytes, and it has only 2/3 of the total memory spec of the Ally X, which in our recent review of the Ally X, which you can go check out over on Floatplane in case you're interested, we showed that the 24 gigabytes of memory on the Ally X versus the Ally does make a difference. So there is performance loss that's happening because of that lack of 8 gigabytes. But is that made up for by an 800 nit OLED screen for enjoyment? It's possible, right? Because especially on these handhelds, locking it to 40 FPS to get that 120 hertz frame rate situated nicely, you don't tend to play these things at max speed, so I could be talked into it. Maybe we could review one. Zotac. Hey, you guys listening? We'd love to check out the Zone handheld, review one here on UFD Tech. We've been doing a lot more reviews lately. I don't know if anybody's noticed. I'm excited for it. Love to get my hand on the Zotac Zone. And I want to see if Reese can save me a little bit of money in case I have to buy one myself.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. And hey, deals. Starting off with something a little different today with this ATX Open Chassis case rack. Going for only $9.99, making it $23.01 off. But then if you need something to put in that, you can grab the Gigabyte B650M Aorus Elite AX AM5 motherboard. Do you know that the listing says ATX motherboard? This is actually a micro ATX. But at $121.18, it's currently $80 to $90 below the average listing price. And then lastly, if you need something to pair with that, you can grab the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D, which is currently going for $361.80 with included promo code, making it $87.20 off. I have one in here and I love it. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reese, here's a deal that I want that I know I can't have. I'm gonna do this every time I see it happen. Another GPU manufacturer has come out with a beautiful custom themed graphics card. This time it is Zotac, we're talking about them again, and the Black Myth Wukong GPU. That game's officially out as of right now, and they've come out with an RTX 4070 Super with a custom front and back plate to it, which looks incredible. I absolutely want to get my hands on one of these, especially considering how well they did with the Across the Spider-Verse themed GPUs. I really like that Zotac's doing it. The only problem is that it's only available in China as of right now. Makes me a little sad. I really like themed graphics cards. We're actually going to be building with the Frostpunk 2 GPU from Sapphire in our PC building stream on Friday, but whenever there's a good themed GPU, I want to promote it because I want more companies to do this kind of stuff. And that's what I'm sitting here saying about AMD. They had a problem with their sync close vulnerability, which was a major issue in terms of malware infection that could happen on essentially every AMD processor back to 2006. And when that came out, AMD announced that they were going to fix everything from Ryzen 5000 and above, to which some people asked, hey AMD, you released a CPU 5 years ago, the Ryzen 3000 series, and you're saying that you're not going to support that? And they said, it's outside of the support window. What do you want us to do? To which there was response of, support it? I mean, this is a massive vulnerability. It's not like we're asking you to go back and support something on the FX 6300 lineup that's over a decade old at this point. Ryzen 3000 series was purchased a lot during COVID. A lot of people moved on to that system, and they still are actively using those CPUs now. It's not like it's that outdated in terms of processors. So AMD has come out, and as of today, they are actually patching their Ryzen 3000 processors for the sync close vulnerability. They're not really making a big statement about it, but I do want to kind of do it on their behalf of, this is what you want to see. Hey, you did something wrong. this is not necessarily good for your customers. Please amend. Ryzen 3000 now is having a target date of this patch for today. You love to see it. The only thing that's not on here is Ryzen 9000, so might have to wait for that, especially as that's still coming out. I doubt that's outside the support window, but this is just a good thing. I want to give credit where credit's due, that when they were called out for not necessarily supporting something that they should, they're supporting it. You would love to see it if it was on Zen 1 or Zen Plus with the Ryzen 1 or 2000. You'd love to see if it was on Threadripper 1 or 2000. That would also be ideal, but Ryzen 3000 was kind of where AMD made it into the mainstream and kind of exploded into everybody's system. So I'm glad to see that it's at least that. Thank you, AMD, for fixing that. And thank you all for leaving your comments so that we can do comment response. Over on Floatplane, we got Funny Hats saying the quad setup accompanies line made me remember that more thread exists. And they even have a new tiny GPU that looks like a GT710. I don't know why I said it like that. It performs even worse in game than the GT710. Yeah, I can't remember if I talked about more threads yesterday. I know they exist. The problem is that they're not like a worldwide company. They're just kind of isolated to China. You can't even, I looked up for them on AliExpress and I couldn't find an easy way to get my hands on an S80. I know there's ways to do it. It's not available here in the Western markets. So with ARM making gaming GPUs, very likely that it's going to be available in broader markets. More threads exist. There's a few other companies out there that are trying. I think there's a Russian company also trying to make gaming GPUs, and it's just, they're more localized domestic efforts rather than broadly expansive efforts, which is, I think, where ARM might have an advantage. Then we got Scarfo saying, I looked into the new feature sets of the X870 motherboards, and for me, the standardization of the USB 4 on them was the only selling point for me. I got an Asus X670E ProArt. I have that motherboard too. We built it into our streaming PC with USB 4 for my 7900X3D, which is enough. If you need USB 4, you need USB 4. Then over on YouTube, we got Seth Sim Racing saying, pretty sure Apple entering the gaming space would be worse than better. They'd overprice all the hardware, and who knows what they do with game company softwares being on the OS, just like Epic Games on their iPhone. This is probably the only comment I've got that has gotten more than 5 replies. I don't know, man. They can't beat Nvidia at overpricing. Come on. Okay, that's so true. I don't know, man. I mean, Apple's iPhones are expensive, but so are every other flagship company's phones out there right now. I don't know that they necessarily outprice themselves of the market, right? I understand the PC mindset that's like, I can build a PC that's faster for less money, but it's clear that that's not how everybody views it, because the MacBook Air is the best-selling laptop right now in terms of just single units, because people want to pay for a certain level of convenience. I don't know. I think Apple could do it. I'm not necessarily on the Apple hate train. Some might call me an Apple shill. Even with things like the Apple Vision Pro, I know people want to say it's overpriced, but the truth is, there's no other headset on the market that matches its hardware capabilities. It is just an incredibly impressive piece of technology being displayed in a compact form factor. And yes, the Quest 3, is that better for VR gaming? Yeah, for most people, but it doesn't have the tech that the Vision Pro is packed into it. So I'm not saying you should buy the Vision Pro. You should probably just buy the Quest 3 or Quest 2 for that matter. But the idea that they're overpriced isn't always true. And I'm just go yell in the comments. I know people don't like when I talk like this, so I will defend Apple slightly. Then Penko saying, I would love if ARM GPUs had HBM RAM and was just an extra socket on their board so you could just throw on one more standard CPU cooler. What are you talking about, man? HBM memory GPUs came and went, nobody bought them, all right? Radeon 7 died a sad death, pathetic life that GPU lived. You could say it's because it was a 1080 Ti 2 years after it got released, but it's just, nobody wants these things, man. It's like the MacBook Air argument. What people say they want on the internet and what people are actually going to buy. And then we got Freelancer System saying the Firefox comment is a reference to an episode of the LTT WAN show. Was a joke that all of Floatplane users used Firefox instead of Chrome because Floatplane users are nerds. Okay, haha, I don't watch the WAN show. very much anymore. I don't have a ton of time. And then we got SK saying, Brett, in regards to your weekend review, the 7040 series had an NPU that got up to 10 tops. The 8040 series had an NPU that got up to 16 tops. So yeah, the new Ryzen APUs do have a third generation NPU. Sure, it's using XDNA 2 as opposed to XDNA for the first two APU generations, but it's the third generation of laptop chips with ever increasing NPU computational capabilities. No, man. No, are you, that's like trying to tell me that because there's a Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, and Ryzen 9, that when we get to the next generation, we can say it's the 11th gen because there's different segmentations. The NPU that was on the 8040 is an XDNA 1. It's still the first generation. Just because it's a higher segment, a higher class of the NPU doesn't mean it's a new generation. And the whole 8040 versus 7040 stuff, like, it's made up for marketing. My whole point was that the 300 series is purely a marketing maneuver. And that's exactly what it is. When companies like AMD and Intel and Nvidia have to launch new versions in order to satisfy these OEM companies to make it look like they came out with something brand new, even though they didn't, that's an exercise in marketing. AMD is on their second generation of NPU architecture. Just because they came out with a third laptop revision with it doesn't mean they're on their third generation. This is not a third generation NPU. It's XDNA 2. It's the second generation NPU. It's almost like saying Ryzen 9000 is the 9th generation of Zen because it's Ryzen 9000. They came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's just pure numbers. That's not true. Zen 1 was Ryzen 1000. Then you had Zen Plus. Then you had Zen 3. Then you had the mobile with 4000 and the APUs, which was weird. And then you had Zen 3, which was Ryzen 5000. I don't remember 6000. Ryzen 7000 was Zen 4. Then you had Ryzen 8000, which is still just Zen 4. And now Ryzen 9000, which is Zen 5. We're not on the 9th generation. We're not on the 3rd generation NPU. I disagree. I think it's factually wrong. And then Rich Theobald saying, Brett picks up the Intel Arc and wipes the dust off of it. I mean, it's not in a system. I don't have a place for it right now. It's on the hot news set. That's where the Arc GPU lives. And sometimes it needs to have the dust wiped off because I don't reference it all the time. Sorry. I was also gone for a while, so it's just, you know, Kyler's dust crumbs fell on it. And I'm gonna crumb dust on out of here. See you back here for more of the hottest tech news tomorrow.